Mr. Originality, how would you make it different?
I'd let the geek get the girl.
Hi.
Look for somebody with a cell phone.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Too slow, geek. Do you want to die?
Is that the best you can do? Because Billy and Stu were much more original.
Why are you even here, Randy? You'll never be the leading man.
Fuck you!
No matter how hard you try, you'll never be the hero, and you'll never, ever get the girl.
Hey! Shit! Sorry. Hey, man.
Wrong guy, dead boy.
Oh, yeah? Well, let's redirect the moment, Mr. I'm So Original. Huh? Where's your innovation, huh? Why copycat two high school loser-ass dickheads? Stu was a pussy-ass wet rag. And Billy Loomis, what the fuck? Jesus! What a rat-looking, homo-repressed mama's boy.
You know what? I am very comfortable saying that Randy's death is my favorite horror movie death. And let me try to justify that for you now. It's not my favorite death in the sense that it's the most visceral, the most grotesque, or the most beautifully shot. It's not about that. It's about what that death represents in the larger tapestry of Scream 2 and how that truly adds to the thesis provided by Williamson. First of all, I think that Scream as a franchise, and Williamson as an artist, punishes cinephilia. Randy Meeks being killed like that, that's punishing a cinephile. That is absolutely punishing a cinephile, and much more so, I mean, I guess probably an archetype that I relate to a lot, the neurotic kind of, like maybe a little bit, geeky smartass who's obsessed with film. That's Randy Meeks, and Randy Meeks' archetype in Scream 2 is challenged, humiliated, and belittled before he's ultimately punished by being murdered. Just like how he's supposed to be, just like how that archetype is supposed to die, according to the like presets, to the preconceived notions of how a slasher movie is supposed to work. The whole thing about Scream 2 and Williamson's script, though, is that it gives you every opportunity, it gives you every reason to assume that that's not going to happen. Scream 2 is really good at subverting tropes, and you always know that it's subverting tropes except when it isn't, right? Randy Meeks is offered so much screen time. The narrative insists on him quite a bit. You even I think just like Randy deludes himself into thinking this too, that yeah, the geek could get the girl, he could be with Sydney, this could be Randy's hero's journey or whatever, this could be Randy's time. And then it's of course, no, fuck you, cinephile, this is not your time. What are you even doing here, Randy? You will never be the leading man, and you will never, ever get the girl. That is absolutely final. Scream punishes cinephilia and humiliates cinephiles. It punishes Randy for even thinking that he could be the center of this framework, for even thinking that he's an important factor in the larger narrative, for even thinking for a moment that he could be the hero, that he could be the love interest, or anything other than the neurotic friend who gets killed halfway through the movie. That is who you are. You know, don't let your worth be inflated by the fact that you accidentally lived through the first movie. You were an afterthought, Randy. They were going to kill you, and then they got distracted, and then they just shot you and thought you were dead anyway. Like, you weren't supposed to live through Scream 1. You come back in Scream 2 and you think you're a hero now? And it also, in a much more meta, contextual way, Williamson is punishing the cinephiles who are watching it. Because, I mean, I think you have to identify with either Mickey or Randy the most if you're a cinephile watching Scream 2, at least from that part of your personality. And I think that Mickey and Randy are great inverses of each other. Mickey's a much darker version, but Randy's not entirely innocent either, but he's as innocent as you can be raised by pop culture. I think that's necessarily the point there, but he's punishing cinephiles or like real horror fans who know the motions beat for beat, who know all the different plots, all the plot devices, all of the even the new postmodern flourishes that we're developing in that moment of the late 90s horror scene. the ones who are expecting that hero moment from Randy, because it's telegraphed. Like, it's telegraphed that he's going to have some sort of arc, some sort of romantic arc, some sort of at least heroic one. And it's punishing the cinephile who is watching the film because, talking about Chekhov's guns, and Williamson gives us 1,000,000 Chekhov's guns. And I remember saying, yeah, but he always goes for the most used gun. And punishes you with it, and shoots you right in the fucking face. You're deluding yourself like Randy when you're watching this film as a cinephile, as one who understands like shot composition. That the shots insist on Randy. Randy is set up to actually get the girl, or at least survive, or do something heroic. He does nothing heroic. He doesn't survive. He doesn't even get to hold anyone's hand. He gets murdered in the back of a van. And of course, Randy brings subtext into the text by calling Stu a pussy-ass wet rat and Billy Loomis a homo-repressed mama's boy. He also lays down the theme pretty heavily of Mickey trying to give people a good show, a good film, a good trial, because Randy goes out of his way to align O.J. Simpson with the likes of Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, which you're not thinking about that in the moment, but afterwards you're like, that's a weird pull. Why would you go there? He's not on that level. That's really weird. But it's to set up the part of the I'm gonna blame the movies, give the people what they want, a good trial. Everyone loves a good trial. That death is momentously important. And that death is my favorite horror movie death because that's the scene in Scream 2 where it goes, we're actually it's not about subversion anymore. It's not about diverting tropes, right? It's about the fact that you have deluded yourself into believing that that is the new trope. So we're going to do the old trope, but we're going to give you everything that you wanted for, everything that you asked for, everything that you're thinking about. Randy is not the hero of this film. Randy is body count. Randy is the hyper-intelligent friend who is kind of antisocial, who has to die exactly 1 hour into the movie. The franchise is essentially about cinephiles killing their friends and other cinephiles, and in that moment of Randy being on the phone, it is cinephile v cinephile. There is something so elating, something so incredible about hearing the cinephile, about hearing Randy ask the cinephile serial killer, what's your favorite scary movie, back to him after he trolls him with a showgirl's answer. Quite fascinating, actually. The death of Randy Meeks is my favorite horror movie death. Because it's a death that outright punishes cinephilia. It's a death that outright punishes its own narrative structure. It's a death that that beautifully deconstructs arc, like the narrative idea of an arc, or the preposterous idea that anyone can truly have an arc in a slasher film outside of the final girl, or in some 90s cases, the killer. Like, it punishes that idea because no, that's not in the cards. That's absolutely not in the cards. Randy Meeks is also one of my favorite horror characters of all time. He's definitely one of the best Scream characters. His only true competition is either with Sidney or with, one of the killers, either with, a Jill or a Mickey or a Billy or a Stu. Those are his only real that's his only real competition. Randy is a fascinating character, but I love Randy, and I love the idea that Scream punishes cinephilia, not just within the film itself, but it punishes the cinephile watching the movie, which, by the way, in the 90s, right now, everyone's a cinephile. Everybody knows the rules of how to survive a horror movie, at least on the most basic and fundamental level. Everybody is pretty well versed in these things. Randy Meekses are everywhere.